Welcome to our town board meeting. We're all devastated by the tragedy that happened, last week, and I know that residents are not looking for words, but you want action, and we heard the concerns that people had. We want to address the speeding issues. We'll be pushing for speed cameras. We'll be doing more enforcement of speeding, and I thought we could begin by hearing from the police chief, and he could give us your thoughts as to initiatives that you're planning to take.
But before we do that, we just want to extend our condolences to the Gregorius family, some members of whom are in the audience.
And for those of you on Zoom, if you raise your hand electronically, we'll call you in the order of the raised hands.
Chief.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone. Just to be frank, I didn't think that I was going to be the one to start this meeting. I know, first of all, I'm sorry for the loss, for everyone that is grieving. And I know that there was a lot of emotion at the last meeting, understandably. People want to say what they want to say in terms of their ideas, what they expect, what they want, what they need. And because of that, I really wanted to listen more than speak. But I can tell you what we've been doing since last Sunday. And then I'll be here, so if I need to come back up to answer anything or talk about anything, I can. But I don't want to take up time. That's your time. That being said, I just have some notes so I don't leave anything important out, but I'm more or less going to speak from my head and heart. The incident occurred last Saturday, and the unfortunate loss of life is the result of a criminal act by an individual. I'm not at liberty to get into the particulars of the criminal investigation and the accident. There's an accident investigation, and there's a criminal investigation, and there's a criminal court proceeding that is taking place. The person was located, arrested, charged, is currently still being held at Westchester County Jail. The issue is, from what I gleaned from the meeting last week, emails, talking to the board, that the residents are concerned for their safety on East Hartsdale Avenue. And for the last 12 months since I became chief, myself, the captains, we've really been taking an approach where, as complaints, issues, problems come into us, whether it's smoke shops, whether there was a big problem with shoplifting, 12 months ago to about 6 months ago, certain issues that were coming into us, different unit commanders, division commanders, the captains, myself, even some of the other department heads around the town, whether it was through, just cooperation, the building department helping us with the smoke shops. We've essentially been targeting problems, trying to figure out the best way to get the people creating the problem to stop creating the problem, and either maintaining it and or moving on to the next problem. And with this, for those of you that live on East Hartsdale Avenue, I'm confident, but I hope that you've seen an uptick not only in our presence, but also in the number of cars we have pulled over, stopped. You may, in driving by or passing, you may not actually witness whether or not someone's being issued a summons. But we've been proactively enforcing on East Hartsdale Avenue since this happened. The truth is, proactive enforcement may or may not have prevented the tragedy that occurred from occurring. But we want to make sure the residents know that we're not ignoring the issue and that we're going to try to address it as best we can. For now, that's through obvious presence and enforcement, not just being there, but stopping cars, writing tickets. The thing is as a police department, as a police officer, whenever people are, complaining, they're speeding on my block, they're speeding in my neighborhood, what happens is we as the police, we send officers, they patrol, they write tickets, and quite often the people that receive the bulk of the tickets are the people that live there. So that's quite often why we take a targeted approach upon request of the residents. Because I don't want any community in this town to feel like, for whatever reason, that the police department is picking on their community, picking on their residents, or unfairly stopping and ticketing the people in their area. But at the same time, I want the residents of that area to know that we are taking an aggressive approach to getting people to slow down, pay attention. Long term, the town board has granted me permission, and we have increased our staffing from 115 to 120 officers. We have a long-term plan and goals that include increasing the number of officers in certain units so we have more officers available to deal with certain conditions. Because if you live on East Hartsdale, on any street in town, we can direct that sector officer to pay more attention to something, but they still have to respond to the calls for service that come over the radio. So they can sit in a certain place looking for a certain thing, X amount of time, but when they get a call for service somewhere else, they have to go respond to it, and they're no longer there looking for that thing. So what we need is we need extra officers so that the officers can respond to the call, address the call, but someone's still in a position to deter or take action for the things that are plaguing us. And that's primarily going to be achieved through our traffic unit and our community policing officers. And I don't know if the gentleman is here or not. Someone made a comment about we don't need more officers in shorts. The thing with the community policing officers, and you'll sometimes see them in shorts in the summer, they're dressed a little different. Part of their function and role is to interact, talk to people, get to know the area, know when something is in place, know when something is out of place, problem solve, maybe keep small things from becoming bigger things. And that's why they're identifiable by their uniform and why they're assigned to a specific area. At the same time, if there's an issue in that area that requires enforcement and extra police attention, they can also provide that. So without me taking up any more time, again, I wasn't prepared to go first, but I think those were the most important things that I want to say. I will be sitting here and I will be listening. Thank you for your time.
Can I just ask you two very brief questions? One is, do you have any thoughts on the value of the cameras that New York City and cities have been authorized? Would that help us do a better job of enforcing? And the second is some people have suggested that some of the community officers, they use regular bicycles, which is good, but they thought that the town board should be asked to purchase e-bikes, which would enable them to go, to patrol more areas on East Hartsdale Avenue.
I'll answer the latter first. With the e-bikes, technology is always evolving. It's something we've looked into, but haven't moved towards doing. If the issue is really vehicle and traffic and safety, an officer being present, being visible on foot at times is great, but you're also going to need that officer to be in a vehicle. Also, it's September. So as we move into the colder weather, e-bikes or getting the CPOP officers back on their bicycles, that will really be more something to focus on in the spring. In terms of the cameras, there's pros and cons. So I will leave that for a discussion amongst us at a later time.
Okay, we could hear from the community.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Judith Beville, your town clerk, town of Greenburgh, and I'm going to be calling on the residents who have signed up to speak in the order in which they've signed up to speak. George Gundlach, and if I don't pronounce your name correctly, please correct me. I do not, I'm not sensitive to your correcting me. I feel that your name should be pronounced correctly. Thank you.
Pronounce my name correctly, thank you.
Thank you.
And sir, before you begin, could I just quickly say I respectfully request that everyone stick to 3 minutes. We have a lot of people here tonight. We want to give an opportunity for everyone to speak. There's a vigil tonight at 8 o'clock, so we just want to make sure we're timely and there are clocks on both sides of the room. Thank you very much.
Be happy to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my name is George Gunlock. I'm a resident of Hartsdale. I wish a good evening to the board and everyone else here. I want to extend my deepest sympathies to Stephanie's family. And I think I can speak for the community when we say we don't want another tragedy in the future. I'm aware of some of the positive steps the town has taken in the recent past to control traffic. That includes the new traffic light on Central Avenue. I know there was an additional stop sign put on Ridge Road up by the park, and I'm here at this moment just to address a dangerous intersection. I want to bring your attention to the intersection at Hillcrest and Ridge. That's just outside the Marion Woods and the Hartsdale Park. Many people from our neighborhood cross that intersection. The elderly go for strolls in the park. The number of people exercise early in the day. They're dog walking and so on. Unfortunately, with all 3 stop signs, we have a percentage of the motorists that don't comply with the stop sign, and they just either roll through or drive through. It is a tragedy waiting to happen, and I don't want us to be sitting here a year from now dealing with something we can correct. And I think that what's needed to ensure safety at that intersection is enforcement compliance, right? It's simple to have somebody observe the intersection, a patrol car or whatever the police decide is appropriate, and observe the people who are violating the need to stop and issue summonses. Perhaps the word will get out and everybody will comply and stop at the intersection and keep it safe for all of us. Again, that's Hillcrest and Ridge Road. And if there's anything I can do, I know you have my contact information. I'd be happy to interact with police, town board, or anything that I might be helpful with. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Etta Perfetto. Is that good? Okay.
I'm Etta, and I'm the president of the board at 177 East Hartsdale Avenue, Rockledge House. Thank you for having us here today. Thank you for our police department. I think the response has always been wonderful, except there's always an exception. Our traffic has increased tremendously, we all know that, and it's become very aggressive over the last few years. And I've been in the neighborhood for 40 years, so I go way back. We need a police presence, and in the last few years, unfortunately, that presence has not been on East Hartsdale Avenue. There was a cop on the beat in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, especially down at the railroad station. That doesn't exist. Maybe we would look at having a traffic bump halfway up East Hartsdale Avenue, just like it's near the train station. Maybe we want to install a traffic speed monitor so that as a person is coming up driving, they could see their speed like they have in Scarsdale on Fenimore Road. Your pedestrian traffic light on that goes over to the Bronx River Parkway walkway, I don't know who put that light up. You can't see a thing. You take your life in your hands because as the sun hits that traffic light, the cars go zooming by. That's definitely an accident to happen. I think about we in East Hartsdale Avenue, it's like a community. We would like to keep it that way. And I'm hoping that as our commissioner, police commissioner, chief, that your plan goes ahead, because we definitely need the presence of police.
It's been part of my plan even before this, but.
Right. And I want to thank you again, and our condolences again to the family. Stephanie's sisters are here tonight, and we're with you and with your sister in prayers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas Flacco.
Good evening. My name is Tom Flacco. Sorry. My name is Thomas Flacco. I'm a property manager on Hartsdale Avenue. I've been working there about 13 years. Sorry. Stephanie was a friend of mine. I have some personal issues, but that's not what I'm here to speak about. I don't believe that traffic control is the issue. I don't think speed is an issue, because as the police chief said, this is a gentleman creating a criminal act and running away from the police. Okay, my feeling is, in thinking about all of this, I think protection is the matter. I think the focus on Hartsdale Avenue should be, how can you stop a ton vehicle from hitting somebody? How could you stop it dead in its tracks? Somebody's out of control like he was, he should have been stopped. If there were bollards, if there was something he could have hit before he hit a person, that's what you need. You can try to control traffic, you could put police, they're not going to be where they're needed when they're needed. Okay, that's a fact of the matter. Maybe they could have prevented what happened to Stephanie, maybe they couldn't. But I guarantee you something, if that car hit before it hit Stephanie, would have stopped it. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Victoria Walsh.
Good evening, Board. Good evening, everyone. I'm here basically to give my deepest condolences to the family of Stephanie. She was a neighbor on my floor in 45 East Hartsdale Avenue. We haven't been here long, my husband and I, but we've gotten to know her very well. I'm just here because I wanted to give you some personal experience I've had with the traffic. My husband is disabled. He has a walker.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Can you make sure to talk into your microphone?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
My husband is disabled. He has a walker. And because we can't go through the back of our building, we went through the front because it's level. And I was trying a number of times getting my husband from the walker into the car and then going around my car to get in. Twice I was almost hit. I barely got away from the situation without being hit. A neighbor in the building saw it happen this one time. She ran after the guy. I mean, it was useless. But I've noticed that people, the light that's on Columbus and Columbia?
You know, you can pick up the microphone and hold it if you want to turn around and face it.
The light that's on Columbia and Hartsdale Avenue, I noticed that every time people, after that light, they hit it. They hit that gas because they've been held up by the traffic through the town and they just want to go. And our building is not that far from it. And I've noticed that's where they pick up the speed. Okay, I just wanted to let you know my personal experience. And I just hope that things can change and Stephanie's life may not have been in vain. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Bowden.
I'm Murray Bowden, and I'm 90 years old, and I look for all of those little tricks to keep me alive. You notice my glasses are yellow. When I was a skier, we always used yellow goggles to increase the contrast, so I had my glasses made yellow. My doctor said, "You got skin cancer on your head, wear a hat." So I wear a yellow hat so they see me. And I looked at that intersect with the cross there, and I said to myself, in the daytime, the light should be twice as bright as they are now. So you can see people, because not everybody wears this color hat. But in the evening, there could be a light up there that shines down, an LED light, so whenever those lights go on, it shines on the people who wear black and you can't see. But if that light went on and people were crossing, you'd see them. Simple little thing. And I asked about it, and they could easily be connected so that in the daytime, you had twice as bright lights, those little yellow lights, you needed them twice as bright in the daytime. And for the night, they're okay. And then in the nighttime, or even in the daytime when somebody's there, that LED light shines on the area so people would be seen. This is a safety thing. This is I look for the tricks that make it safe for me to drive. These two little things you should consider. People don't really pay attention. They walk. Paul has those safety things, yellow bands. They don't wear them. So put a light up there, shines down there. Anybody seeing that light, they're more likely to see somebody there, especially at night. In the daytime, when the lights are twice as bright as they are now, you got the same one in the daytime and nighttime. They're good for the nighttime, but not for the daytime. Think about it. Thank you all. It's been good. I have had to ask the names of people I know for many years. One of the things that happens when you get this old is you forget names. But thank you for having this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mark.
New York State Assemblywoman Mary Jane Shimsky.
Good evening, everyone. I would again like to extend my condolences to Stephanie's family, who clearly have suffered a grievous loss. I'd also like to extend my condolences to the neighborhood, because when things like this happen in your neighborhood, they cause a certain level of fear for yourself and for your loved ones. So there's a lot that needs to be done here. As your state assemblywoman, I'm happy to try to get the traffic law amended to allow the speed cameras to operate on a town road. But one thing I will say is there's plenty of research, there's plenty of studies, there's plenty of empirical evidence on unsafe roads. And a law enforcement approach alone will not solve the problem. You need to add what some people call a public health approach as well. What does that mean? It means many of the things that were mentioned by folks here tonight. It also means some of the things that were mentioned in the 2021 town study entitled East Hartsdale Avenue Pedestrian and Traffic Improvement Study. Bollards might be some of the answer. Speed bumps might be some of the answer. Some of the suggestions in here to increase sight distances for the pedestrians and narrowing the crossing areas so they spend less time on the open road can also help improve traffic safety. Many of the comments here, as I said, have brought up similar things, physical barriers and things that will help protect the pedestrians by making them on the roads a shorter period of time can definitely help make them safe. I urge the town to take a multifaceted approach, follow some of the recommendations in its own studies. This is what I think we are going to have to do to help preserve life and limb on East Hartsdale Avenue. On both things, I will do whatever I can to work with all of you to make them happen.
I should
Thank
just
you.
mention that last year we got a grant from Senator Cousins to implement some of these recommendations, and Garrett Duquesne started to discuss it, and we're going to have a community meeting with the consultant as a follow-up action step to decide exactly what recommendations will be implemented and when, but we anticipate that they'll be implemented probably around 2025, and the community meeting will be held probably within the next month.
That's excellent, and I'll be happy to attend to hear what the public wants. And as we move forward, as I said, if there's anything I can do to be helpful as well, working with the majority leader, I'll be happy to do so.
I do want to point out, your predecessor was actually working with us on legislation for speed cameras, so it would be nice if that would be revised. And when you mention bollards and things like that, that's not a town road, it's a state road, so anything that you can do would be helpful.
Okay.
We certainly have done a lot
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
using Senator Andrew Stewart Cousins' money well, and we'll hear more about that, but not tonight.
The East Hartsdale Avenue, the East Hartsdale Avenue is a town road. West
is.
Hartsdale Avenue is a state road.
That's
Okay.
what DOT told us today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But whatever you can do regarding speed cameras, I'm not a big fan of red light cameras because they tend to cause rear-end collisions, but that's not the case with speed cameras. So whatever you could do, that would be
Okay. As I said, I'll be happy to look into that, and as you move forward with the physical streetscape, please keep me informed as well, and I'll do whatever I can to help with that as well.
Thank you, Assemblywoman.
Randy Murnane, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Okay.
Hello, my name is Randy Murnane. I live at 180 East Hartsdale Avenue for the past 44 years. And the whole tragic irony of this is that 3 years ago, Stephanie was interviewed by Channel 12 News right at that same intersection, even though she wasn't in the intersection this time, but talked about what a dangerous intersection it is right in the village there. So, as I said, I live in 180. You've got cars coming from Central Avenue to the train station. There's a stop line, I don't know how many feet before the corner to make a right into the municipal lot. Everybody zooms through that. They don't stop. They go, it's not, right on red means stopping first and then making a right turn. They zoom through that. Then coming out of the municipal lot, next to Rite Aid, there's a no turn on red sign, and just as I was coming here tonight, I saw a car not only speed through the red light and make a right turn, but didn't hesitate at all. So it's a constant, like you said, the one woman said before how it's nerve-wracking now standing and trying to cross in that intersection from all directions. I'm not faulting the police because it's the people driving the cars and that are not paying attention, but something needs to be done to prevent this tragedy from happening again. Just an aside, 30 years ago, my son was getting off the school bus in front of my building at 180, and a car made a right turn on red with him stepping off. Had it not been for the wonderful bus driver who pulled him back onto the bus by his jacket, my son would have been hit by a car rushing because everyone's rushing to the train station. So thank you for listening. I'm not sure what the answers are, but hope we can improve and make it a safer neighborhood for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Sloan.
Certainly, I'm not somebody that uses a phone for notes. The first thing, which no one's really talked about, a lot of other communities have cameras on school buses. So when cars pass a school bus with the red lights on and the thing out, they get a summons. It's significant, and if you do it twice or three times, there are very significant penalties. Can we look into something like that? I live at 140 East Hartsdale. It was great. You guys put up that strobe light. It's wonderful. You push the button, nobody stops. I mentioned it last week. It'd be great if you could stick a police car. I suggested a motorcycle, but apparently they're not available for enforcement. But hide a police car on the roadway parallel to East Hartsdale. And when this happens, you just give out summonses. They put in the speed limit with the sign, you're going this fast. That's a great idea. How about a variable sign saying 50 tickets issued on East Hartsdale Avenue last week. That would, people, that's maybe even better than the actual enforcement. I mean, I'm not saying lie, maybe issue that many tickets or for violations, obviously. But enhanced enforcement is a great idea. And possibly look into speed humps. No one really likes them, but it will definitely slow down traffic. And I'm not a fan of speed cameras and red light cameras, basically because I see what New York City has done, and it's just become a cash grab. So, in my opinion, that's not my opinion. I don't like it, but that's only one person's opinion. Thank you for letting me speak, and condolences to everyone who knew the victim.
Thank you.
Honorable Susan Tolshin.
Hi, members of the town board, supervisor, and people who are here tonight. I am Susan Tolchin. I'm special assistant to the majority leader, your state senator, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, and I'm here representing her tonight. We were proud to support and fund the programs that you want to do to improve the East and West Hartsdale Avenue, and as you know, this senator will continue to do whatever she can in all regards to help the town of Greenburgh. I want to say something personal. I was town clerk a long time ago in the town of Greenburgh. Etta remembers, back from 79 to 93. And I worked with Stephanie. And we worked together when she was on the planning board, when she was zoning secretary, when she became head of the Hartsdale Public Parking District, which I helped her attain that position. I see her sisters here tonight. I love Stephanie. She was a great friend, would do anything for anybody. And that's probably why all of you are here, not only for Steffi, but because the accident was horrific, and it didn't need to happen. So I am here pledging the support for the senator, and to let you know that however you need us, we're here. We're here for the community, and we're here for the town board. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Susan, we're going to have a tribute on September the 13th to Stephanie, and it would be nice if you could share that reflection again, if you can make it, or come in by Zoom, one or the other. That would be very helpful.
Thank you.
That's not good.
Westchester County Legislator David Imamura.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And first off, I want to give my deep condolences to Stephanie's family. I'm new to the public office. I was just elected to replace Mary Jane Chimsky 6 months ago. And the idea of, this is the first time that we've had, in my time in public office, that we've had someone pass away in such a terrible manner in my district, right? I have the privilege of representing Hartsdale. And while the county government is not as involved in this as the state or in the town, I can only pledge everything I can do to help. Now, I'm the father of a 2-year-old, and the idea of him being hit by a car is just unfathomable to me, right? And this incident, what's happened here, clearly is something that impacts everyone, right? Because you can't walk across the street, you can't get your groceries without thinking about it, right? It impacts your very sense of community, your very sense of safety. So the only thing I can commit is the support of the county. Councilwoman Hendricks works on the county government as well. If there's anything you need, if there's anything that we can do to help, I pledge my support. So I'm so sorry again. Please let us know if there's anything we can do, and thank you.
Thank you, Legislator.
Paul Caridi.
Can everyone hear me? I live at 119 East Hartsdale Ave, right by the crosswalk, and for years now, it's been a problem. Little steps are taken every time something happens, but nothing ever changes. I remember years ago, someone was hit when it was wintertime, rainy, not bright out, and they lost their life. And now this. Every time you step into the crosswalk, you have a high chance of getting hit. I was almost hit 2 times. And even when people do stop, the people behind them don't stop. So what happens, either rear end them to send that car to you, or they go around them, and then they almost hit you. And that's what happened to me. So something needs to be done. There is no, let's take little steps. How many people need to either get injured, almost injured, or killed before significant changes are made here? I don't want myself or my mom to have to worry about crossing the road every time we go into town. That's not a way to live. I think hiring extra police officers, which I believe the chief said he did, and stationing them there, speed cameras, anything should be done to fix this issue. Cost and budget shouldn't be a thing when it comes to people's lives. Speed bumps are another good idea. I realize it's a traveled road that might slow down traffic, but in the same sense, that's worth it if someone survives because of it. I also think giving out tickets will help when you give out enough. Multiple people stood up here and said that red light cameras don't work or they cause other issues, but I think every option should be on the table to fix the issue we're having. If there's money in the budget and grants were given, I think it needs to be fast-tracked as much as possible, not 2025, if that's what I heard. It should be done sooner than that, because we don't want to have more people get injured or die because of this issue. And it's not getting better from what I see. I mean, you can put that light on for the crosswalk, no one stops. You can put it on and stand there for a second, they'll still speed through it. You could be halfway through and they'll speed through it. So something needs to be done, and it needs to be done soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to mention, a lot of people are skeptical about government, and they feel, every time there's a tragedy, there's meetings, and there's a lot of words, and everybody says we're going to do something, and then a month later nothing happens, and people forget. And I just want to reassure people that we're not having this meeting as a show. We are committed to giving this priority, and we're committed to giving this priority after it's off the front pages of the newspapers. I had spoken to Garrett Duquesne, the Commissioner of Planning, and I asked him to prepare like a list of all the pedestrian safety initiatives we've taken in the past 6 or 7 years. We've funded and built over 11.5 miles of sidewalks, new sidewalks in the town, as a result of some of the pedestrian accidents that we've had in the past. So the town board, everyone on the town board has committed to pedestrian safety initiatives, and it's, when we're it's an annual expense. We're doing additional sidewalks every single year, every additional pedestrian safety initiatives every single year. And the issues that are being brought up today and were brought up last week in terms of pedestrian safety on East Hartsdale Avenue is going to be getting the highest priority attention. And if we have to spend more money, we will spend more money, because we want results. We don't want to, we're never going to be able to prevent every single accident, because that's impossible, but we want to do everything humanly possible to make sure that the town is doing everything possible to address the problems and to make everybody not only be safe, but feel safe.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Manny Areces.
Hi, my name is Manny Areces. My condolences to Stephanie. I've been hearing all about
providing some kind of a.
Manny, would you please talk?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm hearing to some kind of a memorial or remembrance. And we should remember that her for her commitment and her service to our town, not just because she was a victim of some random act of violence by a driver that shouldn't have been done. Anyways, I want to point out a couple of things, and I was making notes. First of all, we have to be totally aware that, and avoid things like tunnel visions and have one answer for everything that happens with traffic and public safety, as well as pedestrian as well as traffic face. I agree with Assemblywoman that this should be a multifaceted, comprehensive approach and creation of traffic calming attitude and devices. And police is just one arm of it. And we should always have in mind that multiple things. The community, the type of community it is, and East Hartsdale, it's an aging population, so we have to accommodate for that. I wanted to point that out. Also, the fact that the town is trying as much as possible to take care of these issues and concerns, but it has not taken a proactive analysis of traffic statistics done by professionals that are licensed and trained. Yes, we have someone in the police department that does the best possible, but this should be systematic approach. Not when it happens, not when we get complaints, but it should be systematic and it should be done on an ongoing basis, as well as and advertise it as such. The other part, the violations. Yes, cameras. Cameras charge the car. It does not charge the driver. We have to see how our courts work as well. I don't know if people know here that it's a common practice that people plead out from traffic violations. That means we leave people on the road driving even after they have multiple points, many points, because they're constantly pleading out. And if I want to make you aware of what it is, and the state should know about it. The reason that's done is because the town can keep more of the traffic violations if they call it a non-traffic or moving violation. That should be eliminated. It should be eliminated by the town. The state should know about it, because people are leaving people driving that don't belong on the road anymore. Thank you.
Oops, okay. Mark Bench.
I'm Mark Bench at 120 East Hartsdale Avenue. We also would like to express our sadness for Stephanie's horrible accident. And nothing that could have occurred, no calming probably could have prevented it. But the bump in front of the old Chase Bank is pretty useless. I think you could take that at 50 miles an hour and not hurt your car. Have any of you ever been to at Granada? Have you been in the parking area? Would you dare go over one of those speed bumps faster than 5 miles an hour? You'd ruin your car. So, I mean, there's something in between that and the speed bump, or the so-called speed bump in front of the old place there. I crossed the street from Rite Aid for the first time. I've only lived here for 2 years. I crossed the street to get to the pizza parlor, from Rite Aid to the pizza area with the light, walk. I had no idea that someone was coming at me from Rock Ledge. It scared me to death. I thought if I had the light, I wouldn't need to watch out for somebody coming to me from the left. Those are my only comments.
Thank you.
Barry Cromer.
Good evening. I'm Barry Kramer. I'm here with my partner John. We are the owners of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate at 199 East Hartsdale Avenue. We haven't been here as long. I've heard some people speak and say they've been here 30, 40 years. We've only been on East Hartsdale Avenue for the past 6 years or so. But we wanted to be here this evening to express our condolences to Stephanie's family. Stephanie was actually in our office the day before this incident occurred, and I was in my Scarsdale office at the time, and my Hartsdale office called me and said, there's some lady here that wants to post a sign. And I said, what is her name? And he said, her name was Stephanie. And I said, let her post whatever she wants to post. So, you know, we've always been very supportive of Hartsdale community. I actually share a lot with Stephanie because I am the president of the Garth Road Council. Garth Road being very similar to East Hartsdale Avenue, lots and lots of co-op apartments, and we share a similar problem in traffic and traffic control. And as president of the Garth Road Council, we often have residents who come to us and express a concern about speed and vehicles speeding through Garth Road. It's actually worse on East Hartsdale Avenue, that being a thoroughfare. But we've looked at ways to mitigate those situations on Garth Road. Some work better than others, as you've heard, and I'm not going to be here this evening saying whether speed bumps work or red light cameras work or what works better than other things that you can do. My only comment would be to encourage you to do an evaluation, to look at what works best. We did find on Garth Road one solution seems to be working, and that is the flashing lights that say pedestrian. I think you've done that in other locations on East Hartsdale Avenue. Or there's, I don't know exactly what they call the devices that are in the middle of the road that at the crosswalk, they say warning pedestrians. I don't know if that's going to work on East Hartsdale Avenue. There's a lot of traffic. You have a lot of big trucks. We see it every day. So again, my condolences to Stephanie's family, and as one of the parts of your busy commercial district, we are available to help you in any way we can. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Barry.
Are there any other residents who would like to speak? Barry is the last name that I have on the list.
We have
And
somebody.
Paul, Town Supervisor will recognize you. Please come forward.
Just a quick note, we also have Zoom speakers.
Oh.
You could come up.
Come up to the microphone.
Just real quick. Come up to the microphone.
Thank you.
And please state your name, sir.
Condolences to the family. I'm here.
Please
What
state
is your name, please, sir?
state your name.
My name is Mike Lemish. I'm from East Hartsdale Avenue.
Michael?
Lemish, Lemish.
Thank you.
And I'm not here for the traffic. I'm more curious about the 9/11 memorial on Central Avenue.
That's really not the purpose of this meeting.
We will have an open public comment on our September 13th meeting to open up to other discussions as well, but tonight is specifically for pedestrian safety at East Hartsdale Avenue. So if you'd like to send us an email with your concerns or come back to the next meeting, we could address those concerns at that time.
Okay.
If you would
okay.
send it to Town Board
Okay,
at Greenberg
understand.
NY.
On the topic, it was a drunk driver, I understand? So it has nothing to do with pedestrian traffic. It has to do with a drunk driver and drugs. So that's all. It has nothing to do with traffic violations or anything else. It has to do with a drunk driver. So you want to do car stops instead of flooding the area with summonses? You do plenty of car stops and you warn and admonish. That's also at the officer's discretion. In other words, you don't have to flood the area with summonses. I'm sorry.
Here's a card so
Thank you
you
very
can send
much.
your other concern.
It's an embarrassment that 9/11 memorial is discussed. You ought to be ashamed
All right,
of
that's not
yourself.
the purpose of tonight's meeting.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
That's not the purpose of tonight's meeting.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Janice Gates Porter. I've been a resident on East Hartsdale for about 7 years, and I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said here. I go to work every day, and I feel like, I don't know if everybody has heard of that game Frogger. I feel like a frog trying to cross the street. I want to offer my condolences to the family. It should have never happened, and I concur that we need either to remove the benches, put barriers, or put some fences. There are some fences that are on Central Avenue that are protecting a couple of the restaurants and the stores that are right on the corner of Central and East Hartsdale, and I think something like that would be helpful to mitigate the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Do we have any Zoom calls?
We do.
Yeah.
Are they doing it by chat?
Mr. Eisenman, I just hit the promote to panelist. If you can accept that, then you'll be able to make your comments. Welcome, Mr. Eisenman. If you can unmute, and then you'll be able to speak.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the invite. My name is Josh Eisenman, and I just wanted to read what I sent to the town board in an email. As a longtime resident of 180 East Hartsdale, and knowing Steffi from when she worked with my mom in county planning, I was beyond dismayed by the deadly accident that occurred across from my window. As such, I'd like to be part of this workshop, this was from before, and any further discussions regarding this issue. I'd also like to go on record to say that while nothing could have prevented the death of my innocent and beloved Stephanie, I'm in favor of both a red light camera and a permanent speed monitor being installed at the light corner of East Hartsdale and Rockledge, as well as additional speed bumps being installed along East Hartsdale between the village and the Four Corners. Note that there's a non-permanent speed bump solution that can be installed immediately, and I'm happy to send examples of that. It's something we use down here in Grand Cayman, and it prevents speeding considerably, so I can send examples to anyone who would like that. Not a day or night goes by that I do not see or hear someone speeding through that intersection at speeds way beyond the limits of the village. As such, I highly recommend that the police install permanent speed and red light cameras. And while the police are stationed at that corner for a short period every day, that will not solve the problem, and agree that changes need to be fast-tracked rather than these continued thoughts and prayers. Beyond that, reducing the speed limit to 15 miles per hour or doing what Rye and Scarsdale have done by cutting off vehicular traffic through the village is not practical. Until another route to Central Avenue is built, i.e. never, because this is a thoroughfare, this stretch of road will carry too much traffic and too many aggressive drivers. Traffic accidents like this will continue to plague our streets, and I hope Paul's comment about traffic calming measures being implemented soon isn't just lip service. Sadly yours, Josh Eisenman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have another?
There was a lady in the back. Yes.
Would you send us the information? You said you had some suggestions relating to the Grand Cayman.
Yeah, who should I send that to?
If you could email townboard@greenbergny.com.
Yeah, sure, thank you.
Everybody will get it.
Hi, my name is Grace Love, and I just did want to give some feedback myself as a pedestrian. Safety does not fall on the police. That is a collective effort. So as a pedestrian, I do not feel safe at times walking on Hartsdale. Myself, I do go through residential streets just for exercise, and with the elderly in the community, not just the elderly, disabled, people who are injured, it it's a lot of burden on a pedestrian to have to make considerations of where can I walk that's the safest for me. That should not be what a pedestrian in a neighborhood should have to worry about. Personally, I love Hartsdale myself. Hartsdale has always been a very community, small town feel, and it's up to Hartsdale to decide on what are you willing to tolerate and not tolerate. Myself, where I work, we do prioritize safety as a #1 concern, and that is our #1 issue that we focus on every night. So as a member of the community, I just like to ask all residents, what are you willing to tolerate and not tolerate?
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else on Zoom?
Anybody
I
else?
do not believe so.
And if there is, if you could just electronically raise your hand, it makes it a lot easier. There doesn't appear to be.
You know, I just had, one thought. In Edgemont, there was a committee. You know, Lucas Chiaffi and Dylan Pine have been working with the police department, and they did a traffic safety analysis, and they just sent an email to people on the Edgemont Community Council praising the police for implementing some of the recommendations. And I'm wondering if it would make sense to have a small working group that could work with the town board and the police department, review the various suggestions and options, and then possibly provide us with quarterly progress reports. So this way, everybody here will see that for every quarter, say by the end of the year, we have to tell you what we've done, what we're implementing, and then 3 months, in March we do the same thing. This way, you'll see, how many tickets have we been issuing, what infrastructure improvements are we making on East Hartsdale Avenue, what recommendations are we following from the study that we did or not following, and the reasons. If we're doing the cameras, why we're doing it or why we're not. Because I think, the key to this is really the follow-up. And I feel that if everybody sees that we really are serious about this and we're requiring, progress reports and updates, and the community is kept informed what we're doing and what we're not doing, we'll definitely make the streets safer for everybody. We'll be able to hopefully, avoid some accidents, and I think along the way we'll get new ideas that we haven't thought of today. We could keep making this this should be a work in progress. We're never going to make it perfect, but we'll keep making it better and better every year.
I would like to express my condolences to the family who's here and some whom I met last week, and to all the residents, because we saw last week how much suffering you all felt as we have today. I hope, since this is it may be on television later, that people who are watching understand that driver responsibility is so important, and that we slow down. I'm not perfect. I've been accused of having a lead foot sometime, but we look at how much hurt there is, how much pain that you've caused unnecessarily, and the close calls that you've had. The police can't monitor everybody, and speed bumps can work just so far, and lights, if people ignore them, just don't do the trick. So please, let's all take a lesson from this and go easy on that gas pedal. Pay attention. Look to see who's walking. Look to see the pedestrians who are trying to get into their car, perhaps. Please, help.
Yeah, I also want to express my sincere sympathy to the family. It's an unbelievable loss You know, we say there, but for the grace of God. And for some reason, God wanted Stephanie. We have no idea why. But the family also taught us how to grieve. I went back to East Hartsdale Avenue exactly 1 week at the time of the accident. And frankly, I was stunned that the family thought of taking the dog that was at the funeral and place it as part of the memorial. You know, that, I said it leaving the funeral parlor, but that really was inspirational to me. And Stephanie would have been so proud of the send-off. As sudden as it was, and it should never have happened. And I agree, there's nothing that anybody here could have done to prevent what happened. I was just, it took me quite a while, it's still taken me quite a while, to come to terms with that. This board is not going to stop in dealing with these issues. What we hear, and it was most troubling, is, well, we put up the flashing yellow beacons and nobody stops. Which means that we need a tremendous education effort, not only on the drivers, but on the pedestrians. And part of that education, unfortunately, is going to have to be enforcement. And part of that enforcement is going to have to be tickets. Because I recently drove through Eastchester at on a main road, 25 miles an hour, and there were speed cameras on that road. And guess what speed people were going? 25 miles an hour, right? They work, they're a deterrent. Hopefully you don't get a ticket, but we need to do something, because what we'll be explaining on the 13th when we talk about the millions of dollars that we've been spending on improving the area, things that you don't normally see about lights and timing and sophisticated controls, traffic controls. This is not something that started prior to, after Stephanie's death. It's something we've been working on for quite some time. These things do take a long time. If we're going for speed cameras, it's going to take time because the state legislators have to come into session, vote on it, and the governor has to approve it. So, but it doesn't mean we don't start. And so on the 13th, we're going to transition to a tribute to Stephanie. And if anybody would like to come here on the 13th at the beginning of the meeting and express a reflection, either on Zoom, and there was some technical difficulties at the beginning where sound wasn't going out. We have that resolved. You do it on Zoom or in person, that would, we really appreciate it. The family has already said that they're willing to come back on the 13th for that tribute. And I think that's the time, the best time for those of you who have reflections about Stephanie to share them.
I am your town clerk, Judith Beville, and I have spent many hours, many moments throughout my 15-year tenure on East Hartsdale Avenue. For several years, I coordinated musicians participating in the East Hartsdale Farmers Market. Stephanie was very much a consultant to the clerk's office, as you heard Susan Tolchin say, when she was also the town clerk. And I just want to add to this very important discourse, conversation that is filled with rich input with regards to recommendations and suggestions, that the physical safety, physical aspect of safety is one thing, when we are forced to encounter bumps in the road and when we encounter signs, but the presence of a uniformed officer sends a message directly to our thinking that we have to take immediate precautionary steps to slow down, to be aware of how we're driving. And I just think that if I do not have a vote on the board. However, I'm hearing recommendations from everyone, and I think that the presence of a uniformed officer, whether that person be someone such as the gentleman sitting here, or our chief, or an auxiliary officer, the presence of a uniformed officer makes a difference psychologically. When we see that person there, we are forced to rethink our behavior. So combined with the bumps in the road and the signage that might remind us of the speed that we're going, a uniformed officer can make a difference.
I would just like again to say my deepest condolences to my sisters. We had a great conversation last week, and it was really hard, and it was really challenging and difficult. And we all who were there made a promise that we were going to do what we can to make sure that the safety, not only at Hartsdale Avenue, East Hartsdale Avenue, but around Greenburgh as a whole. So as the town supervisor mentioned that, putting money in a budget to make sure that that's safety for around the town. Because unfortunately, it's just not Hartsdale Avenue. And I'm not to say that Greenburgh is not safe, but we have to realistic of this matter is that this life was taken by drugs and alcohol and high speed. There was nothing that the chief and his team could have done to prevent that. And this is what we have to live with. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out. Understand that we are all listening, that we all have made a pledge to make sure that safety is priority in everything and anything that we do. And this moment is so sad for all of us because we should not be sitting here having this conversation. I should not be looking at my two sisters here grieving the way that they are. But this shows the community that you have and the support that you have. And this is when I love that we all come together. You have the state, you have the county, you have everyone really coming together because this is priority for all of us. So again, my condolences, and again, my sympathy to everyone because we're gonna work on this together. So please, everyone, do flood us with the emails. We're going to do what we can do. And with the great leadership that we have in our chief, we're going to work with him and support him and his staff and making sure that in our staff, the Commissioner of Planning, Commissioner of Public Works, and everyone involved, that everyone to take their expertise and experience to make sure that what we put going forward, that we make sure it's safe for all, for everyone in this community.
Chief, I believe personally that your presence, as well as the presence of your staff, makes a difference.
So I'd just like to say something that I don't think has been mentioned about a particular safety issue, which I think is meant to protect pedestrians, but it seems to tempt drivers in a way that is not intended. So the the traffic light at the intersection of Columbia and East Hartsdale Avenue is a lengthy traffic light. Very often I've cut through Columbia to get to East Hartsdale Avenue so I don't get stuck at the four corners. It's a very long traffic light, probably to project pedestrians as they cross the street. But what I've seen on a number of occasions is drivers become so frustrated by the length of the traffic light, they blow the red light, one after another. As soon as the first one does it, the one behind them do it. The one behind them does it. So I don't know if what can be done there. But that's a really strange situation, you know, because of what it does to the people driving the cars, you know. And I don't know if you were aware of that, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention so it's one of the things that you focus on while we're having these discussions.
But I think that'll also be addressed as part of the traffic study that's being done when they relocate, for example, one of the traffic lights. And so all that timing will likely change in the not too distant future. A good point.
Anybody else?
We thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the vigil.
We'll see you at the vigil.